All right, guys, I think we are live. If you're watching this live, you can probably skip in about a minute or two. I'm just going to put the link out everywhere real quick and get everybody in here. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to give everybody about a minute or two to hop in here. So again, if you're watching this, or I'm sorry, if you're watching the recording, go ahead and skip in a few minutes until you start hearing me blabbing about some pairs. Alrighty, guys, what's up, everybody that's live? We're going to get started in just about a minute or so here. Let me just get a sound check, a little mic check in the chat. If you guys are watching this live, can you let me know in the chat if you can hear me loud and clear? Let me know if you guys can hear me, and we'll go ahead and get started. Alrighty, perfect. Probably gonna wait about another minute. Give everybody a couple more seconds to hop on here. It's not going to be too long today just because it is the last full trading week of the year, and it's actually going to be my trading week of the year, as I know it is most people. Do me a favor, while we wait about a minute longer, hit that like button if you're watching this live right now. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Alrighty, guys, so welcome to the last official weekly outlook of 2019. I hope you guys have all had a good trading year. I hope you guys are all ending in net profit, in net green. I know myself, it's been a little bit slower than normal year, but we're ending the year. I mean, it still depends on what I do this week, but right around a little bit more than 30% gain across my smaller or low risk accounts. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into things. Today is not going to be a very long webinar, being that it is the last trading week. I know there's a couple days of the week next week that still fall into 2019, but I'm actually not going to be doing any trading. So basically from this Friday, which is the 27th, until the beginning of January, like the first week of January when the markets reopen after the holidays, I'm going to be taking about a week break from trading. So let's jump into things. This week, there is only one red folder, all right? So that is tomorrow morning, it is the GDP for the Canadian dollar. Other than that, there's no red folders, and anything that comes out this week is very, not very important. And also, that being said, is Wednesday is Christmas. All right. So if you guys celebrate Christmas, Merry early Christmas and just happy holidays in general, depending on if you celebrate any holidays around this time, even if you don't, just happy holidays. But keep in mind, looking at the charts right here, right? Tuesday, tons of banks are closed. Wednesday, tons of banks are closed. Thursday, more banks closed. Okay. There's even some German banks closed on Monday. So if you are doing any trading this week, I would probably recommend, just in my opinion, that I think that this would be a better week for doing like little small scalps, getting into the market during the London and New York sessions, catching some, mid-session volatility, looking for, maybe anywhere from 10, 20, 30, 40 pips on a trade and then getting in and out. I would not recommend swinging anything this week just because with the lack of banks being open, the banks are indirectly, or directly are the market makers, right? They provide the liquidity to the market, right? They're the liquidity providers. So with that being said, low liquidity, volatility can be increased. So yeah, even though the banks are going to be closed, we could still see the markets do some interesting moves this week. But I'm just letting you guys know straight up, going into this week, you don't have to make money every single week in the market. You don't have to, or not even make money, but you don't even have to trade every single week, right? This is the last trading week of the year. Most of the volume that gets provided into the Forex market, a lot of the big banks, hedge funds, firms, things like that, they aren't doing any trading on this week anyways. So I just, I would say, kind of go easy this week, take a break next week, and then prepare yourself for 2020 moving forward. Okay. But let's go ahead. I do have some setups that I want to share with you guys that I think are notable to keep your eyes on. First thing I want to look at is USD CAD. Okay. This should be no surprise. I mean, all of you guys should probably almost be tired of me talking about USD CAD by now, because I posted this. This is a free setup that I posted in Telegram. If you're not in the Telegram, check the link in the description. It's a free Telegram I've been running since 2016. So going on 4 years of running this Telegram completely for free. And I gave this out on November 26th, as you can see right here. And it's also on you can go and search on my public trading view, David Schinkel, and you'll see this on here also if you want to go check it out. But yeah, if you come and check out this setup, you'll see, and you can go back to, if you weren't here for this and are curious as to why I took this trade and want some more detailed insight on this from a more educational standpoint, go ahead and watch the weekly outlook published after November 26th. So whatever Sunday follows November 26th, I would have talked about it on that one. But anyways, just if we click the play button, we can see price action has followed through pretty nicely. It still has not reached my target. And as I mentioned many times, this target is not even my ultimate destination or my final destination. My real target is this 129. Is this actually this green or this blue, this lower light blue box, which I think we're going to get into the early 2020. But I will tell you guys, let me just kind of reverse. Let me just take a step back for a second. But I want to look at the dollar, because the US dollar is important with my bias on this pair of what I think it's going to happen in the short term. So long term, I'm still short on USD CAD. If you've been holding a short since these highs, when I first called a short up here, I would recommend just setting your stop loss at break even, maybe taking up some partial profits, but But yeah, have your stop loss at break even, but I think it's going to continue going lower. But I do think it's going to make a little bit of a correction this week. And that's because if we just take a step back for a second and look at the dollar index, you'll notice, and also very quickly before we go over the dollar index, if you were on last week's outlook, so just this time last week when I got on live, my outlook on the dollar index, if you guys remember, you can type it in the chat if you remember what it was, but it was short-term upside on the dollar index. Overall, I'm expecting downside in this channel to break. So we can see on the daily that it did, in fact, the dollar index did, in fact, move up higher last week. And one of the main reasons that I was bullish on the dollar last week, short-term bullish on the dollar, was because of this bullish engulfing candle, right? And remember, this was not this past Friday's, but a week ago from last Friday's candle, right? So when the markets opened last week, if you guys remember my commentary from last Sunday, I said that we might see some short-term upside on the dollar index because of such a strong bullish engulfing candle. Sure enough, we did this week. The dollar strength came through. Now, if we see where we're at, we are sitting right at the 50 EMA. So this is a pretty key level, or a very key level for the dollar index. I'm very interested in seeing what happens to the dollar around this area. But like I said, overall, I am long-term bearish on the dollar index. I'm expecting it, if it's not going to happen, this week, then early 2020, next week and the week after, we should start to see the dollar index continue and follow through with its downside as it has. And I would keep trading that. And that's also going to be a catalyst for this trade, right? This is a setup I've been looking at since also, a couple of weeks now, but also I specifically talked about gold on last week's webinar also. And I told you guys that 1550 is my level. This is nothing new. I'm pretty sure I had this orange box on last Sunday's weekly outlook also. But you can see, so this is the daily chart, right? And if I zoom in on the daily chart on gold, you can see that this is last week, right? The gold did nothing. It just kind of got above, came and sat above the 50 EMA and just consolidated. But I am telling you guys, make sure you capitalize on gold, okay? Gold is going to go up. Go and watch last week's webinar if you want some more educational insight on gold, okay? For like the past 10 years, you can go do this on your own. I'm not going to do it right now because I already did it last week. But if you go and look at the past, just for example, the past 10 years of gold at the beginning of every single year. So let's take like January 1st to January 15th. Let's say like the first 2 or even 3 weeks of every single year for the past decade, with the exception of 1 or 2 years. Every single year for the past decade has been extremely bullish for gold at the beginning of the year. So, history tends to leave a lot of clues and repeat itself. So I am going to also just add that as confluence to my gold buy. But I want to be very clear with you guys. It's not just like that's the only reason I'm buying gold, right? The main reason I'm buying gold, a lot of it, the main reason is coming from USD weakness, right? Everything stemming back from the Fed and the fundamentals that we've been talking about for literally months as the Fed has paused their easing process and, as of the last Fed meeting, stopped easing and said that Powell has had a very dovish wait and see approach. So that's good for what I want to happen, right? That's not good for the dollar. I don't want the dollar to strengthen. I want the US dollar to weaken, right? For these trades. So I know that sounds kind of funny sometimes too when I'm talking about I want the US dollar to weaken. Like, I don't really care. Like, it doesn't matter what country I live in. Just because I live in the US doesn't mean like, oh, I want the US dollar to be so strong. Like, I don't really care. It's all fiat currency at the end of the day. It's all fake money at the end of the day, really, right? It doesn't mean anything. It's not backed by anything. So when I say I want the US dollar to weaken, it's because I want to make money off of this setup. I want to capitalize on the trade. I don't care about the country, that I live in. So Well, I mean, to an extent, but I mean from a like a finance standpoint, like the dollar. That's not why I'm saying that. But anyways, I think that these setups are going to play out nicely, and a lot of these setups have taken their time, right? I've been looking at dollar weakness for a couple of weeks now, right? As it's started to pick up weakness back in like September, we've had our eyes on the dollar, so it's taken some time, right? Even with gold, it's made this double bottom for the past like month and a half, 2 months, right? Down in this area, hasn't had a lot of movement. So a lot of pairs haven't seen a lot of movement in the past month to 2 months. It's really been a lot of sideways movement. But some of the pairs that have been moving over the past couple of weeks, like USD CAD, we've been catching these, right? We literally called the top, a perfect top right here on USD CAD. So, and hold those shorts. These shorts are going to continue coming through, guys. And I told you guys, like, I have such a good track record with USD CAD. Look right here. This was the last high that I called on USD CAD, made some money on the drop. We've been making money. Literally, I've been making money on USD CAD since I first started trading. Ever since, you can even go back all the way back to here, 2015. Actually, I remember really seriously trading USD CAD back in this channel. That's literally why I still have it marked off back here. I mean, this channel is also extremely relevant in terms of like the bigger picture of what is going on, right? So definitely bearish on USD CAD. Let me take a look at the chat and see if there's anything in here. All right, just looks like a lot of you guys excited for the week. All right, so just to recap before we go, because it looks like there's almost like double the amount of people there were when we first started, okay? Again, this is going to be not the greatest week to trade, right? We got Christmas on Wednesday, so it's not like this is like your normal average trading week, okay? Stay on the sidelines for majority of it and just trade with some caution. I am long-term bearish on the dollar index. Right now, I'm neutral on the dollar index. USD CAD, same thing. USD CAD, I'm long-term bearish on. I think short-term we could see some upside on USD CAD, but overall I'm expecting downside. But also one thing, like, and I don't mean to be like I'm not trying to say like make anybody jealous or like say like not to put any non-importance on this week in particular, but this is my history for this month. I'm up 29.83% this month. It's my best month this year by far. So obviously I want to capitalize and make more if I can, but I'm also really happy with how this month has gone. So like I said, I'm just taking this week extremely easy. If I see something that's going to be a very on the smaller time frames, I'll scalp it. Maybe make a quick 100 pips here there this week, doing some scalping, but that's going to be it. I prefer to wait until the new year. So I'll leave you guys with that. And with that being said, everybody have a great trading week. Make sure you guys stay safe out there with all the banks and whatnot being closed this week. And students, I will see you all tomorrow for the daily webinar, and everybody else, I will see you guys not next week. So there's not going to be a weekly outlook next week, but the following week. Okay. So 2 weeks from now, we will be back in business for trading, guys. So take care, guys.